What's up, man? It's the Bronco at the Frog coming at you with another reaction video. I did see it across my Twitter timeline not too long ago. Shout out to the man Raymar Football. We ain't hit him in a minute to get him to 572,000 subscribers. I seen on my Twitter timeline that the man Mudryk is retiring from football and he's becoming a track star. Hey, I rock with him. I rock with anybody who he literally had multiple paths. He said my football career not working out. I am pretty fast. You know, when it comes to speed with me, I ain't gonna hold you. I be like, them football boys, I don't think y'all boys fast like that. I don't think y'all got the chops like that. Not like American sports, and y'all know it is different levels of speed. I truly want to see how fast is Mudryk, because I feel like it's some boys over there in the National Football League who's faster than him. Even if he is a track star right now, nobody know the Ukrainians for track. Who is some damn Ukrainians runners? They probably good at field, throwing javelins and tossing the little the thing on the neck. They probably good at field events, but track, hey, we gonna see how fast this man Mudryk really is. How a €100 million winger destroyed his own career. Literally, oh, he's banned. Wow, I didn't know that. Banned for substance abuse. Whoa, so if he banned for substance abuse in football, why in the hell would the track committee let him run? He must be finna run in the PED games like Fred Curley. Y'all heard about that? Y'all know they run it. They making the yeah, let's get Mike out of here. All right, y'all heard that they making like a PD Olympics. What is it called? They making the Olympics to where everybody can do as many drugs as you can and just seeing like peak human performance. Everybody doped up. The doped Olympics, I think. The dope games. I think it's called the dope games. So they doing the Olympics and everybody can use drugs. And yeah, so hey, we go see how it break down. Let's see what goes down.
In January of 2023, Chelsea were in a fierce-bidding war against Arsenal for one of the hottest players in Europe.
Man,
Mudryk, at the
Mudryk,
time, I kid you not, were calling the Ukrainian Neymar.
Neymar, they really called him
Mudryk was making waves around Europe, combining that breathtaking pace, fearless one-on-one dribbling, long-range shooting, and promising youth.
Yeah, man.
I mean, looking at some of his performances, especially in the Champions League, but even in his smaller league in Ukraine, it's easy to see why some would call him that. Pacey wingers with potential are some of the most coveted assets in European football, and Chelsea desperately needed one.
Of course, it was Chelsea. Chelsea buys everybody. They buy everybody. All of that money they got over there, man. The record of the most signings in the past 8 years or something in football history in an 8-year span.
That they would drop a staggering €70 million transfer fee on top of an additional €30 million in add-ons just to secure who they believed would end up being a future star.
Money laundering scheme.
But very quickly, they would find out that fairy tale was likely never going to arrive.
Okay, so he was
Within
mad.
the following weeks of his debut, that Chelsea had bought potential rather than a polished product. That lightning pace that once shredded defenders often ended up with misplaced touches, wasted chances, and overall poor decision making. And with that, each underwhelming performance stacked higher and higher against the 9-figure price tag, and the pressure would only grow. Because by the time he entered his second season, Mudryk was already being spoken of as one of Chelsea's biggest regrets and mistakes. But what's crazy is that the guy who would tattoo the words "talent ain't enough" on his neck.
Yeah, that's why that's when you know it's over. That's when you know it's lost. Once boys start making rash decisions like this, crazy decisions like this, yeah, you know it's cooked. You got to go ahead and get him gone before he poisons the rest of the organization. Straight like that.
The guy who would tattoo the words "talent ain't enough" on his neck might have literally meant it. Because Mudryk would be removed from football altogether when, despite all the memes, lowlights, and lack of results, he would be charged with anti-doping violations. And as unironically funny as that may be, it's actually one of the swiftest and craziest downfalls in football history.
So when it comes to doping in footballers, is it more so like it has to be cardio reasons, right? Because, you know, when I think of athletes doping, I think of straight strength. But it has to be cardio, or maybe he got injured and he used the dope to like heal his injury faster. That's what some people do also, you know.
Mudryk might end up quitting football entirely and use his pace to pursue track and field instead. But just how did things end up this way? Why did Mikhailo Mudryk never succeed in the Premier League? What ever happened to the Ukrainian Neymar? How bad was he really? And where does he go after all this controversy? Well, it all goes back to why Chelsea even spent all that money on Mudryk in the first place. Because although Ukraine's youth football program has never been the most prestigious, Mikhailo Mudryk would arrive carrying two traits that any scout or manager
Look how much it meant. Look how much it meant to him. Chelsea done sucked all the soul out of Chelsea sucked all the soul out of his ass. That's why sometimes, yeah, I know some people may have a dream of people from other countries, a dream of playing at this big league or this big league, but look how happy he is, bro. Look how much it means playing in Shakhtar.
Or manager would love explosive pace and fearless dribbling. And it was that combination of pace and trickery that would elevate him from a domestic prospect to a European curiosity, as he would gain more and more playtime and experience with the Shakhtar Donetsk. And it wasn't simply just the eye test. Both scouting reports and statistical outlets would emphasize his acceleration and one-on-one threat. Notably, FBref shows the data scouts referenced, and above
top 92 in shot creating actions, 80 in live ball passing, 32 in dead ball passing, 99 in take on. What is take on? Like when somebody running straight to you and you, like them. What is SCA? SCA shot, fouls drawn. He's towards the low in defense. One-on-one duels. This nigga was in the top 99%. Or like, it is only like 1% of people that's like better than him at 1v1s.
Average frequent dribbles per 90 and frequent involvement in the attack for Shakhtar. But the hype also had to do with Shakhtar's marketing for Mudryk and the overall transfer market appetite for a young, high-ceiling, wide-attacking winger. European clubs would keep a close eye during UEFA competitions, and Arsenal's interest in Mudryk ultimately led to the bidding war narrative that resulted in Chelsea ultimately paying a premium for Mudryk. And although the price tag wasn't exactly justified, there was some true hype.
I was just finna say that. How much is it? Is it the league? He was playing in a whatever league Shakhtar is in. Also, do y'all think his career would be better if he played for them Gunner Boys versus Chelsea? Somebody let me know.
Again, seeing his highlights, it's easy to see why some would have called him the Ukrainian Neymar. But perhaps such a high-profile move and expensive price tag ultimately placed Mudryk under immediate financial and narrative pressure. Because unlike Neymar, who was used to the spotlight since he was a teenager, for Mudryk, everything was new, and perhaps the lights were a bit too bright. Because after this move, there were realistically only two options: justify the fee and produce enough to meet the expectations, or crumble and endlessly be judged for it. Now, for Mudryk, every performance was a test. But from the very start, Mudryk's tactical fit at Stamford Bridge was already complicated by managerial and squad rotations. Because a guy whose primary weapons are bursts of acceleration and dribbling needs to have a consistent tactical role. And he really needs support from overlapping fullbacks, having a manager that's willing to structure the attack around those traits, and having a lot of space on the flank would really help. However, at Chelsea, the tactics around Mudryk's playing style rarely enjoyed any consistency.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why even sign the boy if you know he's not going to fit into your tactics? Let me find out they signed him just so he wouldn't go to Arsenal. Just so they could slide Arsenal and flex and say, we got y'all a player. Y'all know they wrong playing with this man's career like that, knowing that his ass don't fit the system. Go try and get him to fit. We can mold him into this player. We can mold him into a player. For us, no, f that. Did that man dirty.
Consistency. Because again, Mudryk came from the Ukrainian league. Moving up to play in the higher levels of the Premier League was already a challenge. The pace is fast, the players are physical, and the overall talent level is just higher. Both time and consistency are what Mudryk needed most to fully adapt. But don't get me wrong, across his time in Chelsea, Mudryk did show signs and flashes of greatness. Moments of raw speed, occasional long-range strikes, and the odd decisive contribution. However, his overall end product numbers lagged behind expectations. FBref shows modest goals and assist totals for his appearances, and beneath the surface of advanced metrics flagged a key problem: high involvement in build-up phases and dribbling attempts.
Look at all that. Look at his passing, straight butt. Pass completion. Nigga was in the, oh my gosh, he was in the bottom 9% of the world in pass completion. That is terrible. Bottom 4% in medium pass completion. Oh my gosh. This stinks.
But with relatively low conversion in the final third. And these metrics turned an eye-catching skill set into a frustrating run of inconsistent match influence. And with that, two consequences followed. First, selection became more infrequent. Most of Mudryk's minutes and play times came from substitutions. Occasionally, he did start, but there were few long instances of 90-minute play. Secondly, the narrative on social media among pundits got even worse, branding him a player who cost elite money, but delivered limited, measurable returns.
Yeah.
Quickly, he would become painted as a bad transfer. And this narrative...
He said it look like Bronco State. Boy, oh my mama, I go stupid. But once them pundits get on you and start getting in your head and stuff, it's a wrap, bro.
It was compounded by critics both inside and outside the club, turning him into one of the most criticized players in the world. But it is a little bit ingenuous to say that he couldn't adapt to the Premier League at all, because Mudryk did have some injuries and fitness interruptions. In his first season, he would miss a total of 7 matches, with a total of 38 days out due to injury. Plus, there were even reports from club insiders and statements suggesting his relationship with manager Enzo Maresca was rather poor. And all that would definitely not help Mudryk with his already negative view from the media. And this would eventually spiral all the way until December of 2024. When news outlets like The Guardian report that Mudryk was provisionally suspended after an adverse A sample for a banned substance, meldonium, was discovered in a routine testing. And the FA's...
It had to be to get back from being healthy, all those injury woes he had. He probably just wanted to get back healthy and play some football. But, hey, you can't do that, man. You got to come back naturally.
A sample for a banned substance, meldonium, was discovered in a routine testing. And the FA's process of provisional suspension removed him from competitive and club training activities, pending B sample results and further hearings. The story would go public with clear legal and career implications. Under FA regulations, a finding or use of a prohibited substance could trigger sanctions for up to 4 years, depending on the overall outcome of the hearing. However, not too long ago, media outlets would report that a B sample had also reportedly returned an adverse finding, making it incredibly likely for formal charges, which the FA would end up issuing in June of 2025. And for those who don't know, the presence of meldonium is notable because it's classified as a substance that can enhance recovery and endurance.
Recovery, fatigue, endurance, all of that because of his injuries, bro. Feels bad.
Basically, it's a substance that's treated seriously. Both Mudryk and Chelsea publicly denied any knowing use, but since then, Mudryk's future in football has become very unclear.
But my thing is,
can really do is fight it in court.
Right now, Mudryk's legal team is
engaged with Morgan Sports Law, a firm previously involved in high-profile athletic defense, basically signaling that he and his team intend to fight or overturn a
similar cases.
Because in anti-doping cases, pathways to reduce suspensions typically depend on proving a lack of intent. For example,
my thing is, if you got popped allegedly in doing a PD case, you really think they gonna let you run in track and field? Like they might in Ukraine, like y'all little local circuits, but I'm talking about like on world circuits. You think you gonna get cleared to run on world circuits after going through doping violations and stuff?
Contamination, mislabeled supplements, or procedural lapses during testing.
The doping era in track is over,
case
man.
Where legal maneuvers reduce an initially lengthy suspension.
These new genes
shows that
don't
a
be on
mitigation
that
strategy
dope.
might work. However,
It's
no
all for
outcome
Fred
is guaranteed. And the FA's formal charges placed against Mudryk is incredibly
Word on the
serious.
street, yeah, he running track.
A multi-year suspension would not only remove Mudryk from club matches, destroy his market value,
and
void
World
or
Cup.
diminish his endorsements, or create long legal fights over wages and contractual status. It could basically end his career for good, because most of the time, clubs can terminate or suspend pay under certain contractual terms. And for a player like Mudryk in his early 20s, basically building his initial brand around speed and athleticism, a multi-year absence would mean the end. Of course, public reaction to this news was swift, because not only was Mudryk already memed for his poor performance.
Bro, who was the original 007? Was it Jadon Sancho? Jadon Sancho, I often say. Because I remember this 007 vividly. I think this was the first 007 that I witnessed live.
But the tattoo that he got saying talent isn't enough only made things worse. Basically, the doping story finalized his narrative of being a flop. Initially around the time when Antony and Mudryk were one of the most hyped players in the world. Personally, I refrained from making a video about them because I wasn't all too convinced. And it wasn't until recently when I started seeing rumors online that Mudryk was about to drop football completely that I even considered making this video. Because around social media, I was seeing rumors about how Mudryk was planning to drop football to switch to Olympic sprinting.
Yeah, I told you, switch to Olympic sprinting. See how fast that man really is. See how fast y'all football. Now, if he out here running crazy times, then I'll give it. I was like, okay, Mudryk was that guy. He's as fast as this person or faster than this person. Okay, I give him that.
To Olympic sprinting. And this narrative would spread fast, because I get it, the story is quite appealing. A naturally fast footballer trading a team sport for an individual event, mainly because right now he's not able to play football. However, the truth is, behind multiple reliable sources and Mudryk's legal team themselves have publicly refuted those claims, stressing that he's not training with national athletic bodies to become an Olympic sprinter, causing major news outlets to retract those claims.
Oh no, they said it was cap.
Fake news. So hey, I just thought I should defend Mudryk a little bit. But this all comes down to the big question. How bad was Mudryk in the Premier League? Personally, I feel like the problem wasn't that he lacked talent. It was more like he didn't understand how to use it efficiently. In his first full Premier League season, he scored
That's what I said. I want to see Mudryk do it.
In 31 appearances. Very low numbers for a player who was expected to lead Chelsea's rebuild. Even without the price tag in mind, that was not a great season. But beyond the stats, the eye test told a harsher truth. Mudryk was great at getting into good positions. However, he would get there only to make the wrong decisions. He was shooting when he should pass, running into traffic, or simply having poor first touches. A lot of fans and analysts alike would argue whether his mistakes were technical or mental. Personally, I think it was a bit of a combination between both.
Bro. It's all in your head.
Like he was trying to play faster than he could think. And the data seems to back this up. A Sports Dark analysis found that within 5 seconds of receiving the ball, Mudryk lost possession 50 times across 807 minutes, roughly 5.5 times per 90 minutes, one of the highest among Premier League wingers. His crossing accuracy was sitting at around 19%, reflecting the same inconsistencies. A high volume of attempts, but few meaningful outcomes. And while he manages to get shots off regularly, most come from low-value positions. Or more simply, he's just shooting to shoot. Evidence of poor shot selection and an inability to turn chances into reliable production. However, it is unfair to say Mudryk's struggles were purely individual. Chelsea played a huge part, as they weren't all that great either. As Chelsea analysis pointed out in their tactical breakdown. The club's lack of attacking cohesion has often stranded Mudryk on the left wing without having any real
he talking about Chelsea. You hear that, Jacob?
Or coordinated movement inside.
He said Chelsea being ass is the reason that man Mudryk out here fly.
On instinct and space.
He said if Chelsea was a proper football club, he'd be doing good.
Pace basically turns into over-dribbling and rushed attempts to force openings that aren't there. The same report also highlighted another issue of Mudryk's overall game. Off-the-ball inconsistency. Because honestly, off-ball ability is one of the most underrated aspects.
Why did they let this game happen?
You got guys like Haaland and CR7 being called.
Y'all see this? These kids are clashing like a mother.
Underrated aspects of an attacking player. You got guys like Haaland and CR7 being called goal poachers and tap-in merchants, just because many fans don't have the ball knowledge to see how important off-ball.
Y'all heard that, Haaland haters?
Fortunately for Mudryk, he's very poor at it. Not only is Mudryk's pressing and defensive tracking below the level demanded by typical Premier League systems, his positional awareness is just generally poor. Mudryk often left gaps behind him, forced his fullbacks into 2-on-1 situations, and this over time caused managers Pochettino and Maresca to trust him less. That's why after only 18 starts in 31 matches in the 23-24 season, Mudryk's minutes would drop significantly the following year. And mind you, this is all happening with the constant pressure of living up to his price tag. Because even when given chances, Mudryk's confidence remained fragile. Every missed chance and every
I wouldn't even care at that point if I'm getting 100 million.
To his credit, there were flashes of brilliance, although incredibly brief. Ultimately and unfortunately, Mudryk's story at Chelsea isn't just one of scandal, but also one of mismatch. Mismatch between talent and system, flair and structure. His downfall so far stems from decision-making lapses, and frustrating inability to translate his raw athleticism into consistent, intelligent play. Until he finds a way to refine that into a controlled play style, Mudryk can never hope to improve in a top league. But who knows, maybe if he does leave Chelsea and plays for a smaller team, he'll lose all that pressure and maybe might regain some confidence.
Oh yeah, I keep he don't get 100 million. He gets
his future seems incredibly uncertain.
Yeah.
As hyped as Mudryk was,
feels
and
bad
as quickly
for
as he
footballers.
rose, his downfall.
Hey, we getting 100 million over here in American
sports. I'm not here to say whether he's guilty or not. Either way, this catastrophic downfall of Mudryk is simply sad to see.
Feels bad. The man Mudryk, how €100 million winger destroyed his own career. Hey, if he ain't, go see my boys just kind of say their reaction, man. But yeah, hey, feels bad for Mudryk. I feel like you genuinely should take up that Olympic sprinting career. The whole world will want to see it, to be honest. I ain't gonna hold you. Track and field, ready to go stupid. Hey, how about